Hi, everybody. My name is Vikki, and I am an alcoholic. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. The Zoom is kind of like talking to outer space. And it makes me super nervous too because I like to get a feel for my audience and to look at them in the eyes and laugh with them, and it feels like I'm talking to myself, but I'm feeling very honored that I've been asked. Thank you, Dan, for the invitation. Thank you to, I invited a few friends, and I appreciate them coming to support me. It's a beautiful thing, this thing, Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, we think we're all alone all the time when we're drinking and we don't have anybody. And then once we get sober, we just have a menagerie of people from all over. And it's really amazing. So I want to start off by telling you what it was like. For me, growing up, it was lonely. I was I was left alone with my older brother and my older cousins, and they did some horrible things to me. They very violent and horrible. Um, so I grew up thinking that God hated me, um, because I looked around and it looked like He loved everybody else, but it was just me. Um, I was hoping that someday that God would come and save me, but He never did. And so, day after day, I had this stuff happening. And my mom, um, she had me when she was 19. She had my brother when she was 16. She had to work 2 jobs. She was never home, and she was quite unavailable, physically and emotionally. And I went through hell, really. I thought maybe if I just could do good enough, if I could just do good enough, then maybe I could get some attention, some love. And so I did. I was a straight A student. I did every sport known to man, really. And I excelled. I excelled because I felt like I had to, in order to get attention. Um, but it never worked. My nobody ever came to see me play. I played baseball, basketball, badminton, volleyball, track, um, you name it. But in a way, it was good for me because I got my sense of um, confidence from that because I didn't have anything else. So about the time I turned 13, I discovered alcohol, and alcohol, um, it I call it the great pretender because um, most of the time when I was not at home, I pretended like I was somebody else. I pretended like that stuff wasn't happening to me and that I was somebody else. And when I drank alcohol, it was so much easier to pretend. I wasn't that person. I wasn't that little girl filled with shame and fear and loneliness. I was completely somebody else. And so, all I really wanted to do after I discovered alcohol was to drink. Um, and so by the time I was 15, I was an everyday drinker. Um, at 15 years old, I met him. He was absolutely gorgeous, you guys. He was 6'3", blonde hair, blue eyes. His name was Jeff. I was 15. He was 23, and he listened to me, and he acted like he cared about me, and I told him things, and he cared, and that was the first time in my life that I'd ever had that closeness with anybody. So I fell in love with him, and then but when I turned 18, we got married, and I thought we were gonna live happily ever after. Um, I have a disease of denial. I paint little pretty pictures in my head of how I think things should be, when they're really not that way at all. And that's what I did with this guy. You know, we drank a lot, of course. We got involved in non-approved AA substances. We even did a little bit of entrepreneuring on our own. We were terrible at it, though. We never did make any money, but we tried it. But what happened with that relationship was that it got violent. And it got violent so subtly that I didn't even really notice that it was getting violent. What happened was we were fishing. We were fishing for sturgeon in the middle of February on a boat in the river. And we did this a lot, and it was fun. But this particular night, we had been drinking a lot, and we got in an argument about something. And he decided it was time to go. And he made that boat go so fast. And we didn't have any lights on the boat or any spotlights, so it was just blindly going down the river, and I was scared to death. And I remember crying and praying to this God that hated me to please let me make it okay. So when we got to the dock, and I stepped on the land, I heard a voice, and the voice said, "Vikki, you can't live like this." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I can. This won't happen again, because I really had nowhere to go, and I had nothing. But I did. I left because I was scared. I was really scared. And then about a year later, my ex-husband had remarried, and his wife died in a boating accident. So I moved on from that. By this time, I'm like 19, 20 years old, and I don't really have anything going for me. So I like to say that I found people, places, and things, because I think it sounds nice. But that's not the truth. The truth is I found men. Men, they are such fascinating creatures. And they liked me. At first I found older men that were nice and had money, and we would negotiate stuff. I would get what I wanted, and they would get what they wanted, and it was fine. We went to fancy restaurants. I got nice jewelry, clothes. I even got a car once, trips, all kinds of things. And it was fun, and it was nice. But what happened was I'm the kind of drunk that I'm completely unpredictable. You never know what I'm gonna do at the end of the night, and so the nice older men, they didn't want to hang out with me anymore because I would embarrass them. So I ended up with what the book calls lower companions. I am a lower companion magnet. That one in the room that's the worst one in the world for me is the one I'm going to pick. It's just the way it is. So I found men that were abusive and violent, just like the way that I grew up. And I felt like that's what I deserved, that was my lot in life. And I felt some kind of pride for knowing that I could survive that kind of treatment. It was about this time that I got pregnant with my son. When they handed him to me in the hospital, everything changed. I knew love like I had never knew love before. he was beautiful. And I was going to be the kind of mother that I didn't have. But by then I'm way in my disease. I'm way in the other diseases. And well, what happened is when my son was 2, his father filed papers to say that I was an unfit mother, that I was a drug addict, and that I was an alcoholic, and that I didn't deserve to have him. And I didn't have a defense. We went to mediation, and the guy wrote on the piece of paper that I had liquor on my breath at 9 o'clock in the morning. So what happened was I didn't go to court. And when you don't go to court, it's called default, and everything that he wanted, he got. And I lost Taylor forever. After that happened, I really didn't care much for anything. I delved deep into my disease, and what I really did is I found men that would take care of me and give me what I needed. And there was a price to pay for that. So I eventually got pregnant with my daughter. She was born positive at the hospital. By that I mean she had drugs and alcohol in her system, and so CPS was there, and they wanted to take her. And I begged them, please, I love her. I'll do anything that you want me to. Please don't take her. And I meant it. I meant every word of it at the time. I did. And then as soon as I left that hospital, I was off and running. So this part is always really hard for me because for the next 5 years, that little girl went through hell. I left her with people I wouldn't leave my dog with. It was really bad. And I know the book says that we will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it, but I would do anything if I could change that. So what happened was I was entrepreneuring with this person, and Net 5, Narcotics Enforcement Team, they don't knock. They just come right in, and that's exactly what they did. They came right in, and I had a warrant for my arrest, so I knew I was going to jail. So I grabbed my bottle and ran to the bathroom because I knew I couldn't drink in jail. And I went in that bathroom and I drank that bottle just as hard and fast as I could. The law enforcement officer had to go in and take me out of the bathroom, and take me to jail. You know, I didn't think about my daughter and how scared she must have been, or what she went through, until like 3 or 4 days later. And then it was like, why didn't I use that time I had to go to her and tell her? She was 5. To go to her and tell her that everything's going to be okay, that Mama's going to be back. Don't be afraid, anything. But I didn't, the thought never occurred to me. And the only thought I had in my mind was, I'm going to jail and I can't drink in jail. And for me, that brings up the powerlessness of this disease. I was powerless to think of anything else. So when I got out of jail, of course, all my stuff was gone. If you've ever been to jail, you know that when you get out, you don't own anything anymore, because all your friends have come and cleared you out. You have nothing. And that's what happened. And I didn't have anywhere I could go because I used up all my friends and family. Every time I came over, I needed something. I needed a ride, a shower, a drink, something. So they got to where they wouldn't even let me in. You could see them in their house as I knocked on the door, and they wouldn't answer because I had a really bad habit of coming in and not leaving because I didn't have anywhere to go. So I went to the park. I stayed at the park for a few months, and it was really okay, you know, as far as that goes. I slept during the day. I dumpster dived at night. All that sports paid off because I got to be really fast, jumping in and out of those dumpsters, getting stuff. Then the cops would come get me and take me to jail. They said that they were doing it for safety reasons. And I said, well, I'm not going to hurt anybody. And they said, no, we're doing it because we don't want you to get hurt out there. And it was like somebody blew me over with a feather. I was like, what? I didn't even think about that. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind that I might get hurt out there, because honestly, I did not care. But they would let me out at 4:00 in the morning, pitch black, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no place to go, no one to call. And I remember looking out at the emptiness and thinking about the emptiness in my heart, and nothing. I had absolutely nothing. And to me, that's the pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization the book talks about. It's not that where I was, it's that feeling that I had where just empty, nothing. So it was about this time that my boyfriend's girlfriend suggested that I go to treatment. And I said, well, why would I go to treatment? You can't drink in treatment. I realize now that she was just trying to get rid of me. But she caught me at a good time, because she talked about warm beds and hot showers and food and stuff. And I was so tired. I wasn't sleeping well at the park. So I said, okay. So I went in so drunk and loaded, I thought it would last me the whole 30 days I was there. Because I had no intention of sobering up. They put me in a separate room. They said I was a trigger to the other patients. And I was so sick. I didn't hear a thing that they were telling me until like the 10th day. On the 10th day, they said, Vikki, you don't have to drink or use again if you don't want to. And I said, what am I going to do instead? And they said, we're going to show you. And I thought when they said that, yeah, sure, right. You know, you're going to show me. Okay. I didn't believe them at all. But they did. They did show me. They gave me a foundation for the 30 days. And then once I was there, they helped me get into the homeless shelter, where I was to start my life. You know, they introduced me to the Havilano Club in Marysville, and I walk in and there's a bunch of old men smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, and I think, I got this. You know, I was thinking I can manipulate these guys and they'd all be good. And you know, the thing about it is they really didn't want anything from me. They really didn't. They would take me back to the homeless shelter, so I wouldn't be late. They would give me cigarettes once in a while, and they treated me with kindness. And I was just sure that they were waiting to get something back. And they said that the only thing they wanted was for me to do it for somebody else. And I thought at the time, well, that's never going to happen. I'm never going to have a car. I'm never going to have a driver's license to drive people around. That ain't, you know, I thought, okay, sure. But really, that's all they wanted. And they did. There was this guy, Ed, who said that he dumpster dived and that he lived out of a garbage can, and he would wake up in a blackout and end up in another state. And I could relate to that. And I'm glad that I had that early on. I got a sponsor. I didn't want a sponsor. First time I got a sponsor, I got a guy sponsor. That didn't work out. Just in case you're out there and you want to try that, don't try that. It ends badly. But thank God I'm still sober. But you know, the tragedy is he's not. I woke up in treatment on May 4th, 2002. The stupid people wanted me to take a walk, and I was so sick. I remember that. I didn't want to take a walk. So I got a female sponsor, and they told me that I had to tell this female sponsor everything. And I was afraid. I was afraid that I would go back to the park if I didn't, so I did. And you know what she told me? She told me that the things that happened to me happened to a lot of people, and that I'm not alone. And that made me feel really good. She cried with me, you know, and then I told her some of the stuff that I had done later in life with my negotiators, and she said, who hasn't done that? You know, what drunk woman hasn't done that? And I'm like, wow, you know, when I left her house, I felt part of the human race for the first time in my life. I felt like I was a person and that I deserved to be on this planet just like everybody else. We did go round and round about the God thing, you know, because God hated me, and I knew that. I knew that. They said, don't you believe anything? And I said, yeah, I believe that God hates me. And they go, good, you can believe in something. So just flip that around. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But they showed me. They said, well, you know, the God that hates you, put that God aside and come up with your own God. So I took a blank piece of paper and I wrote down what my God was like. And my God, I wanted him to be nice. And I wanted him to love me no matter what. I wanted him to never leave me. Those things are very important to me. And then later, you know, he's got a great sense of humor. He's a wonderful encourager, and he likes country music. So I made my God very personal to me. And at first, it didn't work. I couldn't make that God be my God until I kept talking to him. At first, I was cussing at him every day because I was living at the homeless shelter. I missed my daughter. I couldn't drink, and I was miserable, and I just cussed at him. And my sponsor said, that's okay. It's communication. So now today, I can tell you that my relationship with my God is the most important thing ever. It's the best gift I've ever received anytime from anyone, anywhere. My God, you know what's so good about him? I mean, one of the things that is so good about him is that he encourages me. I tend to talk negative to myself, saying, nah, Vikki, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. But I have this God of my understanding that says, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Go ahead and go for that job. Go ahead and make yourself available for delegate. I'm right here. And if things go badly, don't worry, I'm right here. And so that gives me the support and the strength that I need to do different things that I normally wouldn't do. And as a result, my life has been amazing. So that was my fourth and fifth step, which was profound. That was profound for me to become part of the human race. I got busy in service, not really because I wanted to be of service to other people. That was not my intention at all. My intention was to get involved. They told me I could be the chairperson of the decorating committee, and they said that I could tell people what to do. And so that's why I did it. And I did. I told them where to put the lights and where to put the tree and all this stuff for the Christmas party. And when everybody left and everybody was cleaning up, it hit me that I had something to do with that everybody had a good time, and I gave something, and it felt so good. It felt so good. I've never been one to do that ever. So after that, when they said they needed an alternate GSR, General Service Representative, for my home group, I raised my hand, and they said, oh no, she can't do it. She doesn't have the 2 years sobriety. And somebody in the group said, oh, we can waive that. And so I thought, oh, they really want me. I didn't realize they didn't have anybody else. Nobody else wanted to do it. But what happened was, is the girl that was the GSR at the time, she resigned like 2 weeks later, and there I was. I was the general service representative. Now this is a front row group. I mean, front line. So I thought it would be an easy gig, you know. No problem. But you know, they were very serious about their link up communication. They insisted that I go to PRASA, Pacific Regional Alcoholics Anonymous Service Assembly. That year it was being held in Tucson, Arizona. And my group put me on a plane. I had never been on a plane before. And they trusted me. They trusted me to go there and get the information and to bring it back. And I was so proud. I mean, I didn't want to let them down. You know how I am. I had to get an A+. I went to everything. I wrote down everything. I typed it out. I copied it. I stapled it. I passed it out to everybody, and nobody read it. But that was okay, because I had fallen in love with general service, and it wasn't the service part of it. It was the people. The people in general service, they have a light about them, a glow and a sparkle in their eyes, and I wanted what they had. So they said, we have a saying, if you want what we have, do what we do. And so from then I worked my way down the service ladder, and eventually my area, California Northern Interior Area 07, elected me to be delegate. And that meant that you guys put me on a plane and sent me to New York and trusted me to get the information right and to bring it back. And that was an amazing experience. Now, I like to say that general service isn't for everybody. It was definitely for me. And there's all kinds of ways to be of service. And so, you know, if you're not doing something in Alcoholics Anonymous, that's a problem. You know, because in order to keep this thing, we have to give it away in some shape or fashion. I mean, I don't care if we're washing ashtrays or setting up chairs or making the coffee or H&I, hospitals and institutions, you know, something, because we want to keep what we have. I know that it's been wonderful for me. So about this time, let's see, I have about 6 months sober. I'm living in the homeless shelter, and it's my birthday, my belly button birthday. And I call my CPS worker and I tell her about all my accomplishments and stuff, and I want to know if I can visit my daughter. And she says, "Didn't you get our letter?" And I said, "What letter?" And she says, "We're going to terminate your parental rights." And I was stunned because I was doing so well. I had 6 months, and um, to me that was amazing. And I remember that I was on the payphone, and I just let the phone swing back and forth, and I ran outside, and one of the counselors came up to me and she said, "Well, Vikki, um, Jessica or no Jessica, you're going to have to decide if you want this program." And so I decided that I would go ahead and do this program to the best of my ability until I couldn't. And I was pretty sure that I couldn't. Um, but I'll keep trudging it. I'll keep doing it until I can. And so I told her at the time, yeah, I'll do it. So then I kept going to meetings and I kept doing my steps, and I didn't have anything, so I went to as many meetings as I could, sometimes 2 or 3 meetings a day. Um, and then in November, we had the hearing for her to be adopted. And I brought all my meeting slips in, a letter from my sponsor, a letter from my treatment center, a letter from my homeless shelter. And I made copies of everything, and I gave it to the judge, and I gave it to the CPS attorney. And the judge looked at me, and he looked at the paperwork, and he looked up. And then he looked back down at me and he said, "I'm going to give you another chance." And the CPS attorney said, "You can't do that." And the judge said, "I just did." So from that day, we were able to try to get her back. There was a lot of stuff. There's a lot I had to prove myself. It took 2 years. Baby girl was 7 when I finally got her back. And careful what you wish for. uh, but she's 24 now, and what I can tell you about that is that she's my best friend. She's lived with me all this time since she was 7, and we've gone through everything together. And for me to think about my life without her, I just can't imagine. The driving tests, the proms, the dates, the movies, all that stuff. The little stuff. So I'm just checking the time here. So at 5 years sober, I met him in the program. He was Mr. AA. He had all these sponsees, and he had a couple of years more sober than I did, and we were going to be Mr. and Mrs. AA. We had the big wedding in our church with our pastor, 200 of our AA friends. It was a beautiful day. It really was. And I say that because I don't want to take that away from me. I was so happy. But what happened is he made some sexual advances toward my 14-year-old girl, and we had to leave. And it was super hard, I was glad that she told me some of the stuff that he had done. And it's one of those things where you don't want to believe it, but in your gut that it's true. I tell you guys that because not everybody that you meet in AA is well and wonderful. They may come off as well and wonderful, but they're really not. Just be careful who you bring into your home. I have a lot of guilt and shame about that. I brought him in my home. Anyway, we're going through therapy and stuff. But what I can tell you is when that happened, I wanted to die. Literally, I just wanted to die, and the people of AA wouldn't let me. When it was time for me to move, because we had to move right away, I was useless, and they came in and they moved me, and from 8 o'clock to noon, I was already moved. The ladies put together my kitchen. But what I can say about that is I was in general service, and so I wasn't allowed to die. I had to suit up and show up no matter what. Here I am, you know, and a smile, you know, act as if, and thank God I had that service commitment, because I might have just curled up and died, but I'm glad that I didn't, because life is really good now. I guess you have to go through what you have to go through. What I want to tell you is that I got a job working at a pharmacy. I've always been quite the dealer. They were going to teach me how to work the digital scales, and I said, no, I got that. And they trusted me. They trusted me with their medications and the key to the building and their money, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But then what happened was when I got divorced, I no longer had any security. I wasn't offered any retirement or benefits or anything like that. So I started trying to get on with the county. I tried 7 times. I interviewed with them 7 times, and on the 7th time, I got the job. And I've been working really hard. I've been there about 5.5 years, and I just got promoted to social worker. And I say that because I feel like it's what God wants me to do, you know. I don't know if you guys realize how many social workers tried to help me in my life. And I was just so mean and entitled and horrible, you know, that I wouldn't let them help me. So now I get these clients that are mean and entitled and horrible. And I get it. I totally get it. And, you know, we have a rapport, because, you know, I kind of know what I need to say and do to get them to talk to me. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And to think that I saw that coming would be, I did not see that coming at all. You know, all I could see in front of me was my life was over. I couldn't drink. So what I want to say now is that my friend Ed said that if he gets another thing in his kitchen, that he's gonna have to move. He's got that much stuff in there. And so I'm new, and I'm living at the homeless shelter, and I've got nothing. Literally, I've got nothing. The clothes that I wore to jail don't fit me. I've got nothing. And so I thought to myself, I want stuff. So then I set out and got stuff, you know. I got my daughter, and I got my God, and I got, you know, I got my Zoom, and, you know, I got stuff. But what I can say is I'm the most valuable stuff that I got is when I look in the mirror, I'm not ashamed of who I am. And for me, that's priceless. And the relationship that I have with my higher power, I didn't see that coming either. And no matter what happens now, I'm never alone. Never again. And that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Vikki. Yeah. Now, Terry, if you can unmute yourself and read A Vision for You.
Okay. My name is Terry and I am an alcoholic.
Hi, Terry.
A Vision for You. Our book is